Check testing, check testing. Can everybody hear me? Just not if you can hear me. Give me 1 second here, guys. Actually, I'm going to go grab some water. Water. Q&A. Been a busy week. I wanted to check in with all my homies, and man, a lot of craziness going on out there. So I wanted to make sure everybody's doing okay. Hey, Kevin, how you doing, man? I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab something. We might do an unboxing tonight. Be right back. Great local stout. Yeah, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Yeah. Hey, guys. Good to see everybody. Oh, I can't see you, but it's good to be here either way. Wanted to check in and make sure everybody's doing okay. It's been kind of a wild week, and I did not want to ignore what is obviously going on in the world right now. So, first and foremost, my heart goes out to anybody that's dealing with any kind of trouble, sorrow, things that are just hard to deal with. Truly, I'm sorry that you're going through that. I have some friends that are going through some losses, and this sucks. I think that we can all agree is that combined, we have an enemy that we're dealing with. And for once, we can all agree this enemy sucks, like really sucks. So there's that. But don't want the entire show to be a downer. It's been a busy week here at New Record Day. I've been busting my tail to get out some stuff to you guys. So I figured it's a good time to check in and see if you guys had any follow-up questions or anything goes here. So we don't need a we don't need any kind of a formula here at New Record Day. You guys can ask me anything you want to ask me, and I'll lie to you. Paul, things are going great. It's a little weird. Obviously, I'm an introvert. Here I have this YouTube channel and I reach, all of these people, and yet like in the public domain, I'm actually an introvert. I don't like being out around people all that much. I get a little bit anxious. So I'm a homebody, and so the changes that I'm personally dealing with aren't all that life changing. I'm just listening to music and hanging out, being an audiophile, and of course making videos. Sean asks, "What kind of Grados are those?" These guys. These are Grado SR80Es. I've had them for, oh, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years, somewhere around there, long time. And they're my go-to. They're my daily driver. And one of the reasons why I use them all the time is, if you've been with me Record Day for a while, I used to do a bunch of voiceovers and I always use these. And so I got so used to how my voice sounds in these that it's just like putting on, an old comfortable pair of shoes. Derek, man, yeah. Slow down on the grocery buying, everyone. I work in a grocery warehouse and we are working doubles to keep up with demand. Yeah, that's kind of frustrating to see that, to be frank with you. I would like to believe that in this type of a crisis that we would think about that we would, excuse me, think about our neighbor and we would think about those that desperately might need actually, groceries. And it's frustrating to see so much, greed. It's hard to see that. So yeah, relax on the groceries and, for crying out loud, the toilet paper. Like, how much toilet paper do you really need? Yeah. Peachtree amps. Jacob asks. Yeah. So that's a great question. Before I started New Record Day, the very first video that I ever posted was of the Rogue Audio Cronus. And in that long-winded review that you should not watch, nobody should be put through that kind of punishment. I was talking about going from the Peachtree amps. So some of the first amps that I really owned, as an, well, that's not true, but really diving in and exploring different equipment, it was Peachtree stuff. I had a Nova preamp, and then I had I think it was their 220 power amp, so separate components. And I liked it then. It's been a long time, many, many years. So it's been a long time since I've had my ears on anything Peachtree. But yeah, I liked it. It was good stuff. Thank you, Derek. Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Hi, Joe. How you doing, man? I'm gonna try to do a better job of keeping up with the questions here. I kind of ran a little bit behind and long-winded last time. So yeah, one of the cool things that, so we live in this community. They're all like townhouses and condos, and what's cool is we got this letter sent out to everybody, apparently, where at 3 o'clock every single day, we just go out on our carport and everybody's out and we just wave and say hi and feel like, oh, hey, there's actually people around. And so that's been something we've been doing. So yeah, the 6 feet magic numbers, yeah, for sure. Keep your distance, be safe, stay home if you can. Only go out if you absolutely have to, but stay home. I think is the best advice, for sure. I agree. SR60s are my go-to. Yeah, I actually had SR60s a long time ago before I even got into speakers. I was really big into headphones, and the very first pair of headphones that I ever bought were Grado SR60s, and I loved them. They were fantastic. So, yeah, yeah. Back in the day, I actually, boy, that was a long time ago. I worked for Circuit City. Anybody remember Circuit City? I was a salesman there, and I worked in the audio department, and yeah, at that time, I thought, like, Infinity and Harman Kardon were, like, the best of the the best of the best, like, "Oh, you gotta hear these Infinity betas, man, they're sick," you know? It's just like, "Whoa, what?" Just a silly kid. Ooh, hey, Nick is here. Guys, Nick is from, LTA, and he has 2 questions about the MZ3 review. Fire away, Nick. Grills on or off? If you're asking me, like, about, the speakers that we use. Oh, I was joking, but oh, man, it's good to see you, man. Yeah, the MZ3, I think I have to admit I kind of did an experiment with that review. No B-roll. I don't know if anybody noticed, but there's no fancy intro. There's no, new record day style beauty shots, and it was intentional. One reason was I had a lot of information that I needed to pack into that review, and I didn't want to waste any time doing it. And it's frustrating me that that review isn't getting the attention that I think that it deserves, because I think what's happening, and maybe I need to switch up the thumbnail, but a lot of folks think, oh, the MZ3, that's just a headphone amp. No, no, it's not. It's not just a headphone amp. It's an amazing, hear me guys, an amazing preamp. So if you don't need a gazillion inputs and functionality built into the preamp, yeah. Oh, it is top shelf for sure. Yeah. And Nick is like, yeah, I noticed. Where's my B-roll, Ron? Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, another thing is that it'd be interesting for any of the dudes out there, and I wish that I had some higher sensitive speakers in house. Any of you guys with like wideband drivers or horns, I would freaking love to know what that 1 watt can really do, because even though I was a bit of a mad scientist when I tried it with the NX I genuinely was surprised at how loud it got. And what sucks about the sound clips is you really have no idea what's actually happening in room. You're just playing back sound clips. And when I started pushing that amp to the extremes and you started hearing, some ugliness and some distortion, you might be hitting the panic button thinking, "Oh, that thing just can't do it. It sucks." No, no, it doesn't at all. I'm asking it to do something that it wasn't designed to do. So I would love to know what 1 watt can actually do with really sensitive speakers. So let me just see here. Your SR80Es are still my favorite $100 headphone, neutral mid range, lifelike dynamics. I agree. And like I said, for me, I know the sounds so well. I throw them on and, off we go. Infinity IRS5, and then visit Danny to compare them to the N Extremes or Line Force just out of curiosity. I have heard the Infinity IRS5s at a show, and it was a while back. Um, it wasn't the same experience as the Line Forces, I can tell you that. And um, ugh, it's been so long, I don't want to commit to anything, but it was a different experience for sure. And the In Extremes sound really different than both of those speakers. It's closer to like, I got to be careful with my words here. More meat on the bones, right? Whereas that Line Force, man, it's just all about transparency. I mean, it's freakishly transparent. So, dude, thank you so much. How's it going? Chana, it is going really well. I hope you're doing well. Uh, for come on, everyone, show some love to Ron. You don't need to do that. That's really nice of you, Chana, but honestly, um, really kind of you, bro. I appreciate it. Chana, if you guys don't know Techno Dad, that's my buddy Chana right there, and runs a channel. I think he has like, where are you at right now? Like 400,000 million subscribers. So I've lost count somewhere in there. Really cool guy. One of the nicest guys that I've known since I've been doing this gig. And yeah, he's a part of the Daily Hi-Fi crew. So there's me, there's Chana, there is Michael from Youth Man, and then there is Joey from Joe and Smells. I had to do it. I had to do it. I have no choice. Joe and Smells. Let's see here. Love my Philips SHP 9500. So comfy for long listening periods. That's awesome. I'm not familiar with that model, but if you're old school with New Record Day, I did the headphone extravaganza. It was a review that almost killed me. I did a review of like 20 headphones in one review. That was a bad idea. And the Philips X2s were one of the stars of that show. Rad freaking headphone. Seriously rad. For sure. Yeah. Thanks for the NAD review. Thinking of getting the new NAD T778 AVR for my home theater to go with my SVS Ultra Bookshelf and Center. Daryl, if you have any questions about anything home theater related, and I'm not kidding you, Techno Dad would be a fantastic resource. He runs circles around me when it comes to anything home theater. I'm not familiar with that model, but I'm curious if that model that you're mentioning right now, and maybe Chana, you can chime in. Is the T778 the same model as basically the M10, but packed into like their home theater multi-channel receiver? I don't know the model, but anyways, yeah. Scratch and smell. Yeah, so there you go. Techno Data saying that NAD looks like a winner. And I would believe Chana. He knows what he's talking about. So yeah, what do you guys got for me? Let's throw some questions out. Let's see what you guys got rolling. Um, L300 versus L300 versus modern ones. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is. Says unable to connect to chat. Please try again later. Can you guys still hear me? Uh-oh. I wonder if we've been lost here. If anybody is still here, let me know. Okay. Looks like we're still good. Okay. It just caught up. Yeah, I think my computer just froze up on me here for a second, guys. We're good to go. All right. Yeah, so let me see. Give me just 1 second here, guys. Let me grab because I can't see the chat, and that's gonna make me crazy. Just open up a new window here and hop in here. Sorry, guys. Give me just 1 second. Technical difficulties. Should be able to get this ironed out here quickly. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. I can see you guys now. All right, cool. Let me just see here. So, got a new window, and here we go. Looking forward to Danny's new JBL 530 crossover design. That's from Martin. Yeah, Martin. I was hoping that I would be able to actually do that follow up this week. Danny's just been swamped. He's been very busy, and he actually has a pair in house, and he needs to talk to the customer to find out, hey, can I basically tear these things apart like Ron did in the video? And as long as he can, then that saves me the shipping of having to ship him a pair and wait and that song and dance. So I'm also looking forward to see what Danny can do. Um, Let me just catch up with you guys. Ron, you calm the soul knowing you're doing what you love, and us listening to you doing what you love takes us away from the troubles and the woes that surround us. Keep up the great work. Eli, thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate that. That's a very kind thing to say. Um, really means a lot to me. Do you know Eon Art Canada height and hi-fi electronic manufacturer? No, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. Youth man, hey, speak of the devil. Speak of how ironic. Speak of the devil, youth man's here. Um, hey, yeah, so Michael was the other gentleman that I was just mentioning under the umbrella of the Daily Hi-Fi crew. That is Youth Man, and he is that. Let me see here. Let's just take a look. Love the channel. I'm a studio guy and own a set of Genelec 8350A. I was wondering if you had listened or were going to review high-end monitors, even though they aren't normal hi-fi. You know what? I haven't. I haven't had a chance to check out much of anything Genelec. I would be totally interested in doing that, and as things progress here with NRD, I'll certainly try. I'll send the emails. Jacob, I cannot see you guys, but I can see the comments. So yeah, we're back online. Quick Ron, talk me out of buying Rogue Audio Stereo 100 amp GOL. No, I'm not going to. You need to be in debt with the rest of us. Get two of them. Quit slacking. Oh man. Any plans to review the new one? Unfortunately, combined with all the craziness that's going on in the world right now, I guess that there was an earthquake. He's in Utah. There was an earthquake and there was a little bit of damage, nothing too serious. And so he's got his hands full right now. But he did tell me that he is planning on sending me the M3 Sapphire. I think it's the M3 Sapphire. So I'm totally stoked. I love what Clayton does. I love the spatial sound. It's ballsy, it's rock and roll at its heart, and I would totally love to do a review of those. What's your take on Tecton Lore, Shit Freya, and Parasound A23 source turntable? Okay, so let me knock these out one at a time. Tecton Lores, I've never heard them. I'd be happy to hear them, but I don't know if Tecton and I are really going to do business. Moving on. Shit Freya. The Shit Freya Plus is under review right now, and I like it actually quite a bit. I think it's a fantastic. It might be. Yeah, I think it might be my favorite preamp at that price and below. New, right? So if you're buying a brand new preamp, you're looking to spend, let's say between 700 to $900, somewhere in that ballpark. I think that I think that it's a fantastic, fantastic option for sure. Um, Let me just see here. Give me just a second. I just got a notification from one of my buddies. Want to make sure that everything's working here. Okay, I'm back. Let me just see here. Dude, Hi-Fi Trucker, you rule, man. Tacos for Mrs. Bernay. Dude, that is awesome. So, so nice. Oh, hi, Ron, DMS, Douglas. Man, we've got like all the creators hanging out tonight. This is like the creator circle. And then look at this. The resident lumberjack of YouTube, also also known as Joshua Valor, headphone junkie. Joshua Valor, if that's really your name. Yeah. So hopefully you guys are doing well. Let me just see here. GOL. Oh, great. I'm getting divorced. Thanks, Ron. Just doing my job, man. Just doing my job. Those rogue amps will keep you warm at night. Oh man. Ron, love your channel along with Danny and the others. Thank you for doing what you do. What are your reference cables, power interconnect speaker? Thank you. First of all, thank you. Thank you for watching my videos. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have an audience. So I appreciate you very much. Um, my cables have pretty much been consistent since I started. I got off the merry-go-round of cables pretty early, to be frank with you. Um, and it's not that I think that I'm willing to, try other cables, but the reality is this, and this is the reality. It's 50-50. I think it's about 50-50 on YouTube. If I drop any kind of a cable review, it's like, "You are awful. I hate you, and I'm gonna unsubscribe." And the other guy's like, "Well, let's hear what he has to say. Like, let's just see what Ron has to say about these." And so, I don't know if that's really if that's really worth my time. I don't know. I'm still working through that. But to answer your question, Triode Wire Labs has been a mainstay here at New Record Day for a very long time. Same with Audio Art Cable and Audience AV cables. So those three brands, and you can check out the reviews, they're older reviews. All that stuff I still have and I still use. So for me, those cables work and they're great. And I don't have any reason to change them out. And, so that's that. Let me just see here. DMS waiting for part 2 of the Mica RB42 towers. Yeah, DMS. Where is part 2 of the towers? Ooh, oh, Josh, you got the light. That's awesome, man. Hey, kiddos. Hi, sweetie. Let me just see here. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Steven. I appreciate you watching. Josh, you're gonna love the light, man. It's so good. Ron, can you recommend me a great DAC? Oh, wait, I missed one. Excuse me. Have you ever done a review of the XLS? I thought you did, but maybe it was part of something else. Will you also be doing a review of the NX Studios? And this is from Hobbs Meerkat, I think, if I'm saying that correctly. These guys right here, if you can see those are XLS, but those are like supercharged XLS. These were sent from Mike Lundy. He does a completed XLS in this type of style, which is over the top. And I'm going to be reviewing those. And to answer your question, I have mentioned the XLS in another review from way back then. So thank you for watching all the older stuff. And it was when I was comparing stock, the stock debut. What? Oh my gosh, ELAC debuts and the modified debut that Danny did, where he yanked off like the beauty rings and he reworked the crossover. And the conclusion that I made is I'm comparing these two, is I was like, why why would anybody modify this speaker, make it look really, really ugly, like truly ugly, when they can just get your XLS Encores and, in my opinion, sounded better than actually both of them. So that's how I handled that review. Yeah. Let me just see here. Can you recommend a great DAC but not a huge price? What's a huge price? Help, I mean, give me at least, some type of a range and I'll do the best that I can. I am not a DAC expert. That's something that I'm starting to venture into and mess around with. So, you know, yeah. Um, yeah. Sean, I was going to say, so the Bifrost 2 I have in house right now, and I like that DAC quite a bit. Guys, what is the price of the Bifrost 2? I should know this. It's like $600, I think. 700 bucks. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, so 699. Fantastic. And it is modular. So it's somewhat future proof to where as things progress and change, you can take boards out from the back. It just unscrews and replace it with different boards, and you got a new DAC. So pretty clever. Oh man. Dude, thank you so much. Furex02, if I'm saying that right. Really appreciate that. Let me just see here. How are the Manleys treating you so far? I am so interested in those, Dan. They are insane. Unfortunately, and I'm a truth teller. I'm always honest with the audience, even when it might get me in trouble. One of them is having a little bit of an issue, and it's nobody's fault. It's not. It's not because they don't know how to make an amplifier. The negative feedback volume pot, it seems to be faulty. Something is wrong with it. I started noticing some funky business with it, and This was right around the time that coronavirus decided to crap in everybody's cereal. And Ivana and I haven't really been talking all that much because she's been trying to deal with the madness that this is causing all these businesses. So um, I haven't listened to them for a little while, but I listened to those. I put about 3 days worth of music on them and started listening to them, and they are freaking amazing. So they listen, I'll say this. Why it's 2020. Why is it that we don't see the ability to control negative feedback on every single 300B amplifier? It is beyond me because once you have that and you can actually adjust the negative feedback on the amp and you hear what it's actually doing, you're like, I couldn't live without this. I would hate this amp. Well, you wouldn't say that, but if you didn't know what you can do with it and it just came set with one option, then you wouldn't know the range. And I'm getting long-winded. They're freaking awesome. They're insane. Let me just see here. Sean, you got the 590s up and running? How are they? I haven't heard the 590s. I would love to hear the 590s. Denafrips Aries 2. John, I've never heard the Denafrips stuff. I have recently reached out to them. I actually want to get my grubby hands on the Terminator. Like, let's just skip the foreplay. Like, I want the big boy, like, let's see what that thing can do. Um, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anything made in China will be in short supply, though. That is true. Definitely true. Lemon string, love the channel, Ron. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. How are SVS subs for 2-channel music listening only? This is from Bryston Boy. It depends on which SVS sub you're talking about. They have their SB series, which is sealed, and then their PB series. The sealed is what you're going to want to go for if you are doing two channel audio. I would recommend the SB 3000s. I think officially, like, I can actually say this, they are the most reviewed and like celebrated like subwoofer on the planet. Something crazy like that. They're very, very good, and I have heard them many, many times, and you can't go wrong with an SB 3000. Or this is new record day, so let's get real. You need two. Don't get one. Just quit messing around and get two of them because you got to have two subs. It's the only way to do it. Let me see here. Yeah, so Martin, that is true. The feedback setting will depend on the speaker. That is definitely true. I have noticed that when I was listening, depending on the speaker, where I'd end up with the negative feedback, it changes. And so that's what I love so much about it, is that I can change it. So again, to what I was saying is, if I couldn't, well, then h- how would I know? So anyhow, yeah. Let me just see here. What are your thoughts on XLS Encore paired with Sprout 100, mostly for use with a turntable? I'm entering the hi-fi on a student budget. Steven, that would be a great combo for sure. The XLS Encores are not terribly hard to drive, and the Sprout for sure will give you enough guts. Um, and if I remember correctly, the built-in phono on that is reasonable. It's nothing life-changing, life-altering, but for like a beginner setup, it let me tell you this, way better than what I started with for sure. Like many, many steps up from what I started with. So you would be up and running and doing just fine. Let's just see here. Kevin wants to know, do you still listen to the Lounge Audio LCR Mark III, and how does it compare to other phono pre's you've listened to recently? This is a great question. Um, when I when Sarah and I took a break from New Record Day and we took about a year off, we were doing some foster care for I still consider him my son, Nick. Um, there was a lot of gear that I had, and honestly, guys, I'm gonna be frank with you. I didn't think that I was gonna come back. I thought we're done. Like New Record Day is over, and I sold off the lounge, and I regret it to this day. I'll have to reach out to them to see if I can get another one. But I spent probably more time with the lounge than almost everything that you guys have seen up to this point. I put a lot of hours on the lounge, and if we're talking about affordable, the affordable side of the spectrum when it comes to phono, phono preamps, it's still to this day, from what I remember and what I know about it, it's still one of my favorites. It does have some limitations, but I think that the limitations that you're going to find in that are going to only be exceeded once you really move up the ladder and start upgrading literally everything. That's when you might at that point say, okay, maybe I've outgrown what this thing can do. And then you start moving into, different carts and things like that. But um, it's probably my number one pick for anybody that is getting into vinyl and they need something that's affordable. It's a fantastic phono preamp. Let's see here. Thanks, Ron. Great job you are doing. P.S. Will you ever eat another Paqui Grim Reaper chip again? Laugh out loud. How dare you laugh at me? No. No, I will not. I had no idea what I was in for. And it was my wife's idea. She's like, hey, just put this on the channel. Yeah, some people might think like, oh, this is just clickbait and this is silly. But um, I remember sitting down thinking like, I'm an Arizona boy. I've been eating Mexican food since I was 2, and I like spicy food. And I was like, how bad can this be? And if you notice, as soon as I start eating that chip, you can tell like I'm like, I got I'm tough. I got this. And then that very quickly changed. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a different thing altogether. So I don't think that I would do that again unless you knuckleheads put me under pressure. Then I might do it for you guys. Maybe. Let me just see here. Um, the LCR Mark III had to go up to 340, but it's still a great deal. Yes, I would agree. Great low end extension. Excuse me. But in my room, the mid bass is almost non existent. Female vocals are amazing. Hey, Sean, with the mid bass, do you think that is like your room, or are you suspecting that that is actually the phono preamp that is causing that? Because I don't recall ever having any issues with mid bass with the lounge at all. I'm curious. So let me know what you think. Let's see here. John says, love NRD, keep it up. But what's the deal with the daily hi-fi site? Seriously slacking, guys. Change the name to Oh man, that is funny. Consider okay. All right, John. We heard you. I'll I'll let the guys know like, hey, all right, let's dust this thing off and get it rolling again. That's partially my fault. Like I'm to blame for sure, just as much as anybody else that's not updating the site. Um it's just one more thing that you have to remember to do. And when I finish a review, you put all this hard work and effort into something, and then when you hit publish and you let it go, at least for me, I get really anxious and excited, and I'm like refreshing, like comment, what thumbs up, thumbs down, how dare you, And so I'm like kind of in the zone, and then as soon as questions start coming in, I want to be Johnny on the spot of answering those questions and making sure that I can kind of gauge how things are trending. I probably shouldn't do that as to the same level that I am right now. I should probably just relax a little bit and then go to the daily hi-fi site and create a post, and there it is. I should do that. So thank you for the reminder. I appreciate it. Yeah, burning ring of fire. That is correct. Ron, I watched your Magnapan point 0.7 review. Does a guy really need 400 watts or just something with a good power supply? Travis, it's about current. What you need is a lot of current with Maggies. Wattage is important for sure. Really, what you want to look for is what's considered like a high current amplifier. So, as an example, if you see, an amplifier that at 8 ohms, it's 100 watts. Take a look at it at 4 ohms, and if it doubles down, so if it goes to 200 watts, then what you have on your hands most likely is a high current amplifier. And do you need 400 watts with the Maggies? No, but I really liked it a lot. I mean, for me, everything that I've ever known about Maggies is they reward you the more juice you give to them. They're just like, oh, and it seems like it's this never ending exchange. It's really bizarre. Like, okay, well, here's 200 watts. Oh, that sounds nice. Here's 400 watts. Here's 1,000 watts. Oh, that sounds nice. And you just keep going. And it's just like they just keep opening up. It's really bizarre with Maggie's. So that's been my experience. So great. Now I gotta spend more money. Yeah, you do. Uh-huh. Martin suggests if it's rated for 2 ohms, then it's good for Maggie's. I would tend to agree with that. So you really want something that can handle the current, is what you're looking for. Let me just see here. And some Dynamat on driver frames really cleaned up the mids and bass. That is awesome. I love do it yourself. It's not something that I've always been into. But once I built my own NX Audicas, that changed everything. And once I could do it, and I built my H frame open baffle subs, I was like, this is you're just proud of it. You take the time to just get in there, get your hands dirty, and you'll surprise yourself. So yeah, I totally agree. It's kind of strange. I have to kind of go back and forth here between my two interfaces. So if there's pauses here, that's why. Looks like we got 66 people in here. What other questions do you guys have? Any questions about any of the reviews that I've recently done? The boot. So I did the boot carts, the S400s. I did the LTA MZ3, and then I did the NAD M10. Any specific questions about those guys that you wanted to ask me? I'm happy to answer any questions there. When are you posting the Mac Mini upgrades? That's a great question. I'm still working with Eric from DB Audio Labs on getting me an upgraded Mac so I can chat about it. So as soon as I see that on my doorstep, then we're going to chat about it. And so that's that. One more question regarding adding a sub. I am thinking REL T5i. Any other suggestions? Looking at GR Research Kit as well. Okay, two totally different animals. Let's get that part right. Assuming that what you're saying is that you're looking at GR Research for like open baffle subwoofers. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Whereas the REL, that's if I remember correctly, I think it's a sealed sub. I think it's a sealed sub. Rel or REL, however you say it. I have heard some of their older stuff from a long time ago. They're fantastic subwoofers. They're very musical, very beautiful sounding. Doesn't sound anything like my open baffle H frame subs. And better or worse, that's going to come down to preference, but it's a completely different experience. With open baffle subwoofers, there is little to no room gain. So you don't have like, you have the hit, but then you don't have that boom, that thing that happens after. And if you love that, and I actually do love that, I think there's a time and a place for that, then open baffle subs, they're not going to do that like a sealed sub or a ported sub will definitely do that because it's pressurizing the room. The room is starting to wake up, is what's happening. Let's just see here. When are you dropping the SVS Ultra review? That's a good question. I'm thinking, I considered doing you guys seem to like those teardown videos where I show you the insides of the speakers and everything that you get if you decide, wait, you know, weeks and weeks and months like I have in the past. If I do a teardown, then I got to drop the review shortly after that. So wink, wink, it would be soon. Um, when is Zoo going to be on the channel? They will love your input. Zoo Audio, good question. I don't know. Way back in the day, I thought that we were going to do some stuff with some speaker reviews, but it fizzled and nothing ever happened. But they're always welcome. New vinyl recommendations. What's being recorded today that sounds amazing? A recent favorite of mine is Jonathan Wilson, Dixie Blur. I actually agree. Kevin, you actually recommended that album to me. I don't have that on vinyl. I haven't been to a record store in a, a good while. So you, you guys are probably going to be more familiar with any of the new releases than I am. Um, I've really been more chewing on DAX and understanding DAX and trying to wrap my head around all things digital. So I'm a little bit behind with any new stuff. For those that don't know, I am moderately obsessed with Pearl Jam. I'm severely obsessed with Pearl Jam, and that record is coming out very soon, and I'm chomping at the bit. I can't wait. So that will be a purchase. There's a Zia record store that is like within walking distance of my house, and I can just go over there. And what if they close because of? Oh man, that would be depressing. Let's hope they don't close. Um. Anyhow, yeah. Let me just see here. Something that can keep up the Maggies. Lots of unis for sale locally. Okay, so Tim is saying there's lots of Unifies for sale locally. Underestimate of power need or other issues. I don't know. I love the UB5s. I think they're a fantastic speaker. They do need power for sure. Yes, definitely power. Um, so that might be an integrated amp since not all subfilter cross over the signal. I'm not really sure exactly what you mean by that. So are you saying that a speaker that already has a crossover, are you saying implementing another analog crossover or a filter in between? If you are, there are some devices, what is Harrison Labs? Is that it, guys? Help me remember that. I think it's Harrison. They make these inline RCA filters that you can do different octave slopes. So, you might do a high cut or a low cut. Maybe that's what you're asking. Not sure. Um, Question just out of this topic: which order of crossover network is good? 1, 2, 3, 4 order. Okay, Jingle Nuts. Let me tell you, the right the right slope is dependent on what the speaker needs to see. So there is no slope that is better than another slope. It's once you load the box with the speaker, you want to see how is that speaker responding inside the box, and then start determining the appropriate slope of what that speaker needs to do a correct job of being in phase with whatever you're crossing it to. So that's the answer to that. NAD M10, how much fine detail does the Class D let through? I got the pretty good butt vibe from the review. Martin, that's true. And that's exactly how I feel about it. And understand this. This is when, coming back from Texas, hearing some of the best that I've ever heard, and, hearing a lot of stuff over the years, my bar is very, very high. And so, you know, for me, the NAD M10 is, somewhere in the middle. But for a lot of you guys that you haven't heard whatever that high bar is, you might be like, Ron, what are you smoking, man? Like this thing sounds bananas. What I love so much about the NAD M10 is it does sound good, but the functionality and the feature set is what makes it so darn compelling. Let me put it to you like this. My 4-year-old Georgia has never, ever, since she has been alive, ever asked me to do anything with speakers until the NADM10. And here's why. because with one press of a button, I can turn on Frozen 2. And she's like, "Daddy, Daddy, turn on the big speakers." So if you want to know how to get people into hi-fi, Frozen 2 and the NAD M10. Those are the only two things you need. And a little girl, a cute little girl, but you can't have mine. I love her too much. All right. So let me just see here. Looks like I'm kind of running a little bit behind. I'm going to try to catch up here, go a little bit faster. All right. How does the Bucart compare to the XLS Encore? John, totally different sounding speakers. The Bucart S400, it's a speaker that is about a lot of performance, especially when we're talking about bass, mid bass, pretty darn fleshed out mid band. Top end extension is, I would say, almost dead neutral. Yeah, pretty much dead neutral. The XLS Encore is more about sacrificing a little bit of that crazy deep bass. I mean, it can hit pretty low, but crazy deep bass, substantial deep bass to here's some good bass. And then everything else above that is more about sounding refined and texture, detail within whatever it is that you're hearing in the instrument. So there's a bit more presence and there is more laser line tracing around everything in the sound stage with the XLS Encores, in my opinion, than the Bucarts. Whereas the Bucarts are more about I'm gonna rip your head off, kid. I mean, they sound like wow, this is a very serious speaker. It packs a punch. Um, that's my opinion. Let me just see here. Da, 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 da. Okay, I'm catching up, catching up, catching up. Do you really like the last 3 or so records by PJ? Yes, I do. Um, if Yamaha AS3000 amp is good, I don't know. I haven't heard that amplifier. I have heard the 2100. Is that the one that I reviewed? Yeah, AS2100, and that was a phenomenal integrated amplifier. Uh, I loved it. So that's that. Um, what happened to your Gallo 3.1? You had, and are the ones you have now better? Okay. So again, when I took a break from New Record Day, took about a year off, that was one of the items that I decided to sell. I decided to sell my Gallows, and that was around the time that I was also building my my NX Oh my gosh, I almost forgot their name. NX they're my open baffle speakers, do it yourself speakers. Are they better? They sound different. And I think that it could come down to the room, and I think it could come down to the actual material that you're playing. The compelling thing about the Anthony Gallo 3.1s is those are a speaker that work in impossible environments. So smaller rooms, weird shaped rooms, you name it. There's quite a bit of forgiveness there, and they they can sound incredible. Uh, you do need muscle power to wake them up. So take that into consideration. All right, let's just see here. Those anymore. That is another regret. Those were again. Once I thought I was going to quit New Record Day a while back, that was another set of mono blocks that I decided to go ahead and sell and let go. I wish I didn't because of all the Class D stuff. I think those mono blocks have probably been my favorite. I highly recommend them, and yeah, they're killer. I will say this though, with the NC400s, those monoblocks specifically, they can be a little bit dull. They can be a little bit boring. You need something in front of them, your preamp, that does something of interest. If you give that to them, then they start to dance for you, and they do some pretty killer stuff. So, anyways, Is you're into if you're into DAX, check out the MHDT Orchid. I love it. Ask LTA to send you one. They are a distributor. Good to know. Maybe I'll do that. Let me just see here. I'm interested in music reference RM10 MK2 35-watt tube amp. Can you recommend some high efficiency speakers for my 12 by 12 dedicated room? Budget up to $4,000. Geo, you're asking a lot, man. These questions are very difficult. Like what you're asking me what speaker I think you should get, man. I don't even want to answer because I wouldn't know what you like. I mean, if you want to send me an email, we can actually if you want to call me even. My phone number is on my website. Just go to newrecordday.com. It's in the top corner. Just give me a call and we'll chat. We'll talk. I'll get to know you and figure out what do you like and what do you not like, and I'd be happy to help you out. Um, yes, 3000 is higher model than Yamaha 2100. That is correct. Yes. Crown amps and Maggie's, good idea. Matt, I don't know. I never tried that combo, but I can't see why that wouldn't work. I would think that should be fine. Um, there's enough buzz about, oh, these crown amps are the best thing on the planet and they're better than anything in the whole world, that I would say maybe there's something valid to crown amps being good, but I've never had my ears on crown amps, so I don't know. I don't know, and I assume that you're talking about like the drive core technology, and I forget the model, but um, A Rob Andrew Robinson is a big fan of the crown stuff. Check out Dream Theater. Saw them in concert a long time ago. Crazy band to see in concert. I actually don't. Alrighty, let me just see here. 71 in the chat. We're going strong. What else do we got, guys? What other questions? What can I help you with? I want to get on here and do this and make sure you guys are doing well, obviously. If you're just joining the chat, my heart goes out to anybody that's dealing with any kind of loss or sorrow due to this crazy situation that we're all, kind of dealing with right now in the world. My heart goes out to you. And as I said earlier in the chat, or in the live stream, I didn't want to ignore that this week. I don't want to just pretend that what's going on isn't a big deal. It is a big deal, and yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there and let you guys know that I genuinely do care, and I hope everybody's doing okay and hanging in there. So yes, Kevin, I have. I think that's actually the very first person within this arena that I saw that fell victim to it. And that's where things get pretty real. You're like, wow, wow, Gene has it? Like, seriously? So, yeah, for sure. Let me just see here. Ron, is there a high current amp perhaps on the used market a guy could look out for? Buying something new like that seems pricey. Yeah, there's a ton. I mean, there's a ton of high. I mean, look, that Carver amp that I mentioned in that Maggie review, I think you can get those for a few $100. They're not pricey. And that was a great amplifier with the Maggies. So yeah, you can get high current stuff all day long, older stuff that people are getting rid of. Um Trying to think here. Adcoms come up. The GFA 555 was a really popular model that you can pick up for a few $100. Um, and that was, if I remember correctly, and somebody might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the 555 was designed by Nelson Pass. Like the Nelson Pass designed that circuit. So, a few $100, do that. He seems to be doing a lot better, which is great to hear. Yes, Kevin, I agree. That is great to hear, and I wish him a speedy recovery for sure. I just found the chat. Enjoy your channel. Have you ever done a comparison of vintage cartridges versus modern? No, I have never done a comparison of vintage cartridges versus modern. It's a cool idea. Maybe I would consider that for sure. Uh, do you suggest DAC which has Saber 32 ES? Okay, so you're basically asking me, do I recommend or suggest Saber DACs? The problem is that it's easy just to focus on that. Like, oh yeah, it's just that DAC chip. But you have to take into consideration, what is it sitting in? What is the rest of the circuit look like? Is it, solid state? Does it have tubes in it? Has it, there's so many different variables that's going to give you the end result of what it is that particular DAC chip might sound like, that it'd be foolish of me to either say yes or no to that question, because there's too many variables that's going to, you know, you get me. Have you felt any disappointment in the many represses of vinyl nowadays compared to yes, I have. I don't even need to finish this. Dan, that is the heartbreaking thing. And it's one of the reasons why, I don't know, like at the height of the whole vinyl craze, I had a hard time going into vinyl stores, because here I am, like sifting through records, and I know exactly what to look for and what I should be looking for and what I want. And then I have all of these kids around me, which is great. I love that. And they're buying just crap records and they don't even know it. And they're spending a lot of money for those records, like 20 bucks plus for what I know is just it's just a digital, crappy digital recording on record. And it's like, ugh. Oh, come over here, kid. Let me teach you a few things. They're not trying. So I will say this: tried and true for me, QRP, quality record pressings, acoustic sounds. This is not endorsed by them. They have no idea that I would even be saying this, but pretty much anything that I've ever picked up from them, I like quite a bit, and it sounds great. So let me just see here. Also awesome. Yep. Okay. Best Pearl Jam record. Favorite PJ drummer. Ooh. I think I think my favorite is probably Vitology. It always comes down to Vitology or No Code, and they're so different. No Code, I felt like, was the first time that Pearl Jam was just doing their own thing, and it's like, let's just let's just do our own thing and forget whether or not this is going to be on the charts. And I feel like that record is really diverse and dynamic, and I like it a lot. Whereas Vitology means something to me because around that time I was just a, troubled teenager, and it got me through some stuff. Like, it was just the right timing for that particular record. Um, and in terms of drummer, it's hard to beat Cameron. The guy is insane. It's hard to beat Cameron. So that's my opinion. Do tubes image better than solid state in the same pair of speakers? If so, why? Do tubes image better than solid state? Well, good sounding solid state amplifier, there's going to be pros and cons of each of those rigs. If we're talking about you're calling imaging, I might say like holographic, like do things within the soundstage sound three-dimensional and holographic? That would be score one for tubes. Like, yeah, tubes can do that. Um, Whereas with, as an example, I don't want to get long-winded, but with solid state, you might have a bit more heft, weight, and body, a little bit more bass slam and impact. So check mark, generally speaking, for solid state. Always trade-offs, but yes, when it comes to soundstage, holographic imaging, things like that, I do think that tubes, depending on the design, not all the time, but depending on the design, they lead out into the lead. They edge out in the lead. Yeah. Yield was a great album. Yield was a great album for sure. Let me just see here. Madonna's first record. Madonna's first record. Um, I may end up having to mute this Eric guy. Eric is a good friend of mine. He just lives down the road, and he's going to try to derail this chat by talking about Madonna because one of our first experiences. You guys want to hear? This is trivia night. You want to know who got me into vinyl? That gentleman right there, Eric. Eric Bernson is the guy that you can thank for New Record Day. If it wasn't for him, I don't know if I would have gotten into vinyl. True story. Anyways, like you guys know that are into vinyl, when you first start out, you don't know what the heck you're doing, what you're looking for. And we went to a record store and I was like looking at like, oh, the new releases. And he was like, finding some real gems, probably first pressings. I don't know what he was getting, but one of them was Madonna. And I was like making fun of him, like, oh, yeah, you got Madonna. That's ridiculous. And he's like, this is a great record, man. And so that's where that's coming from. Tubes have better treble and mids, bass not so much. Ron, have you tried Cobuzz? Yes, Travis. I actually use Cobuzz a lot right now. Dan, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you. Take care of yourself. Keep your family safe. If you have a family, call your family. If they're out of state, tell them you love them. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yes, but anyways, Koba's title, I don't I don't think I'm not afraid to tell you guys this. So we as reviewers, we get accommodations from time to time for different music services. Like of course Koba's wants us to be using their music service. So I get accommodations through them. Same thing with Tidal, and I use both of their services and I like them both. I think there's pros and cons to both. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'll say this, I don't know where I've landed when it comes to like high resolution in general. Like I honestly don't know of all of the things that I would swear by, of all of the things that I would tell you, yes, this makes a difference. When it comes to high resolution, I've heard a lot of Redbook CDs that just sound freaking awesome. And I've heard some high resolution stuff where I'm like, that's all you got? So just my thoughts. Favorite prog band, thoughts on King Crimson. I love King Crimson. I remember when I was a teenager hearing, is it 21st Century Schizoid Man? I'm getting the song name wrong, but I remember I had a sleepover at a friend's house and I was laying on the ground. We were going to sleep and he was playing that song and it was just like, what is this? Like, what the heck is this? And granted, at this time, we're like into like grunge and all that kind of stuff. And this was like an awakening. And when he told me it's like from the 60s, 70s, late 60s, 70s, somewhere in there, I think, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. This song rocks. And yeah, so I love King Crimson. Favorite like prog band? I don't know if Tool is a prog band or not. I don't know whatever Tool is, I love Tool. I listen to Tool quite often, and they would be probably my favorite. A stunning high current amp, if you can find, is the Class A DR3 or DR3 VHC. Thank you for the recommendation there, Scott. I appreciate that. Let me just see here. If it's recorded in high res, it might make a difference. Can. Travis, I like that word can. I believe you. I want you to know that I believe you. And I think that that's maybe where a lot of audiophiles get this sort of mixed up is look, if this was meant for Redbook, like if that's what they ended up, you know, gravitating to, no high resolution from there is going to do squat. It's just not going to do anything. So I agree with you. But if it was, oh, no, no, we're going high res from the get go, 24 192 on all tracks, everything, and we're going to end up with 24 192, and that's what you're listening to, then I would say you're, it's a good case. I think you're probably right. Yeah. What's your favorite high end speaker manufacturers? Uh, to be honest with you, I don't have favorites. That is the honest to goodness truth. Hey, kiss. Good night, buddy. All right, sorry guys. Um, yeah, I don't have favorites. To be honest with you, maybe it just comes down to the speaker. I'll say it like that. Is I don't pledge my allegiance to any specific brand. I think that from one model to another, they get things right, and then sometimes they don't. And that just might be me being picky of what I listen for and what I like. And you might feel totally different, but I don't have a favorite. It's kind of jumping here. Sorry, guys. Uh, Tannoy or bust. You know what, Travis? Many years ago, I had the pleasure of going to the VPI house, and Harry Weisfeld has some Tannoys, and I remember hearing those things, man. I don't know what they were. No clue. Huge. They look like pipe organs, for crying out loud. It's just this big monster freaking speaker, just huge. And man, that was an experience, and it was a sound. It wasn't it's a sound. It's like, wow, there's something about this that I totally love. And not about, in my opinion, from what I remember, not about like precision or, you know, crazy resolution and no, it's like, hey, there's a campfire, Harry, right there. Let's chat, homie. And that campfire happened to be to noise. It was just beautiful. It's intoxicating. So yeah. Thank you. Haha, that was cute as heck. My daughter is adorable. I love her to death. Thank you. I am looking at building some home theater speakers for my small room. I am trying to achieve the most realistic sound produced by a tweeter. Should I go with a dome or AMT? It doesn't need to play loud. Um, Peter, that's a tough question. What I would honestly do, don't take my advice. I would I would email somebody that can really help you. Info at gr-research.com. That's Danny Ritchie. He would be somebody that can really help you with your project. Generally speaking, I like soft dome tweeters for the most part. If you're asking my opinion, just generally speaking, soft dome tweeters are my go to. That's my opinion. So, generally. But then again, now that I'm thinking about it, planar magnetic planar magnetic tweeters like the BG Neo tweeters, and that's something that Danny's probably going to recommend. Those are fantastic. Those are crazy good, especially in open baffle situations. But I don't want to derail this. Any chance on a PMC speaker review? Yeah, so that's a great question. I actually asked you guys if there's anything from PMC that you guys want me to review. Um, it looks like the door is open to what is called Lenbrook, the Lenbrook company, and Lenbrook handles a couple of different companies in terms of like a PR company, including PMC. And so that door is now open to new record day. And so it's time to go shopping, boys. So you guys let me know what do you want me to review? And nice thing about it is I've got a big room, so we can do towers. Like I don't have to do bookies. And that's something I was curious about. Like it seems like there's so many reviewers out there that just do bookies. And I don't know why we all well, I think that some reviewers should only be doing bookies just based on their room, but I got the room to do towers. So if you guys want me to do that, then I can. Let me know. Ron, I am one of the lucky 10 owners of the Tannoy Churchill wideband that I discovered after 25 years and more than city. Oh, yeah. Scott, I think Ivana Manley, I think she has Tannoy Churchills as well. And I would love to hear those. I'm sure they're gorgeous. So, are big speakers good for small rooms, 13 feet ish? No, I don't think they are. Uh, and there's going to be some that will disagree with me. I think that the room is the most important part of listening playback. And then shortly after the room, speakers. And those two, they got to live in harmony. And so there's this balance of what kind of a room do I have to work with? What kind of speaker should be in this room? And most importantly, you know what? You guys know what I'm going to say. How far away can I get these speakers off the wall so I can get some kind of sound stage out of these speakers? And so, yeah, I think that big speakers in small rooms can be problematic. And there are some that are going to disagree with me, and that's okay. We all have our own opinions, but um, I think you need to consider the right speaker for the room. And sometimes that means not a giant speaker. You just got to bite the bullet and be like, okay, let me get some bookies. Doesn't mean that you have to make a lot of sacrifices. You can get some subs too, please. And, kind of go from there. All right, here we go. You asked for it. PMC IB2S ALL. I'm going to copy that. Run to my notes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I will PMC 25. Okay, we're getting some recommendations. So this is how it works, guys. I will ask. And if that's what they send me, then rock and roll. Also, in the NAD review, Safe and Sound, those guys are awesome, by the way. Like when it comes to like sponsorships, that's great. And that's helping me provide for my family. And that's awesome. And it helps keep the channel going. Um, but it's not just about that. I want to find companies that I actually give a rip about, that I know that if you guys go to them, they're going to take good care of you. And so far in early conversations, these guys are awesome. And they're like, bro, anything you want from our shop, just let us know, man. We'll send it to you. You can review it. So, wow, that's great. So, if there's anything from Safe and Sound that you guys are like, Ron, can you review that? Let me know and I will ask them. And yeah, we'll go from there. Let me just see here. Hi, Ron. What's better, your do it yourself Hypex or Hypex in the NAD M10? Thanks. Man, it's such a hard question because the Hypex NC400 monoblocks that I had were just power amps, right? And so, how did it's like asking, how does half the car perform versus the entire car? It's like, I, it, with the NC400s, it kind of depends on what you use in front of it because that's the other part, right? So they're great performers. And what I liked about the NC400s is they just do what they're being told to do. They're a very clean amplifier. And so you put tubes in front of it, then I feel like you kind of have tubes with balls. You put solid state in front of it, then you have the ultimate in detail resolution and clarity. And so there's that. The NAD M10, on the other hand, it really isn't about either of those. It's more about here's a gazillion different things that this thing can do, including Dirac and room correction and crossover settings for subwoofers, two subwoofer outs. The list goes on and on and on. It's just a fun piece. It's so much fun. And it's easy for me to just plop down when I'm just testing speakers very quickly and trying to you know, get my thoughts on what does this thing do and what does it sound like? Which one is better? I don't know, man. I'm just being honest. I can't say. I'll say this: the NC400s are more powerful. Okay, like you can power up the freaking sun with the NC400s, whereas with the NAD M10, 100 watts, that's what you get. I don't know what they bench at, but eventually you're going to run out of juice. So there you go. Oh, Scott, thank you for that. Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay, so she has a little bit different than what you got. Okay, good to know. Let me just see here. Yeah, and that is true, Kevin. Thank you for making that point. Smaller rooms require far more acoustic treatment. That is the gospel. That is absolutely true. So you're gonna have issues. You're gonna have problems, and like I say on my channel all the time, at some point, physics is gonna show up and give you the bird. There's nothing you can do about it. You know. Any early impressions of the PS Audio Direct Stream DAC? Yeah, I think it sounds pretty analog. From what I can tell so far, it seems like it's intentionally voiced to sound analog. What I'm trying to work out, what I'm trying to put my finger on is did they do a good job of that? you know, and that's tough. It's tough. It's like you tried to make this sound analog. How good of a job did you actually do? You know, whereas some DACs are not trying to do that. It's like, no, no, I'm just trying to convert some ones and zeros and I'm going to tell you the truth. And this is what I get. Whereas I haven't talked to PS Audio. So guys, take this with a grain of salt. I genuinely believe, and I will be shocked to hear them say, yeah, we tried to voice it to sound not warmer, but analog. Anyways, that's my thoughts. Cheers, Ron. Always enjoy your 2 cents. Stay well. Hey, Derek, thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. You stay well as well. You stay well, and yeah, take care, dude. All right, guys. Let me just see here. Hour and 25 minutes in. It's about my usual stopping time, but anybody else have? Oh, here we go. Couple more questions. Voicing it to sound analog, is it the right goal though? You think about it, I think it is the right goal. I think it is. I think it might be because you think about it. What is the purpose of a DAC? It is, you know, digital to analog. It is converting digital to analog. So I would think that in that exchange, I would like to believe that what you end up with sounds like analog. So I think it's a good goal, but it's a that's a hefty goal, to really get it to sound like analog. That's a hefty goal. Um, I've been wanting to check out and forgive me, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is Ron from New Record Days, so give me some grace. But R2R DACs, like older DACs, where I guess that there was a change in DACs over the years where it used to be that DACs were made intentionally for audio purposes. Like, we're going to make a DAC that sounds good. We're going to actually intentionally make it for that. And I think that there's been an exchange that has happened over the years where DACs just perform in a lot of different applications. I think that is true, but something about R2R DACs, so many of my friends, colleagues that are big into digital, that are like, Ron, you got to hear a really good R2R DAC. So I'm investigating. I'm I'm sticking my toe into this digital world of ours. How about we do this? I'm gonna do I'm gonna try. We'll see how this goes. Probably a mess. I'm gonna set this over here, and let me grab this box. First time ever messing with Cambridge audio. Great British Sound. See if I can answer questions while doing a unboxing. Can you tell me if my weed dealer is on the list of essential employees? I don't know. What's your favorite anime series? Okay. Is this one of those bots, those trolls? I don't do anime. Return label. So the mysteries of, hey, do you get to keep the gear? No. No. Often we don't. That's not the way this works, guys. Nice bag. Ooh. They're like taking care of us, man. Worst unboxing ever. Ay, ay, ay. Set this stuff to the side. Okay, I think this Renzo guy. Bye, Renzo. Yeah, so Cambridge Audio. They sent me this guy to play around with. And this is the CXN V2 network player. Taking a look at it. I think it's around $1,000. Don't quote me on that. If somebody wants to fact check that real quick, that'd be helpful. I did notice XLR connections in the back. It says balanced audio output. And yeah, whole bunch of different digital connections. A Wi-Fi dongle. Huh. Yeah, this looks pretty killer. This looks nice. A little unboxing there. Look at that. Live unboxing. Get out of here, box. Yeah. So I'm going to be checking that guy out and see what it sounds like. Look at me, all grown up, trying new record day, trying network streamers, for crying out loud. Conspiracy time. Google Home got too smart and is creating bots for YouTube live streams to recommend products on Facebook. Oh man, probably true. It's probably true. You're probably right. So, alrighty. And let me just double check here. We are at, I made it, hour and a half. All right, guys. Want to stop by, say hello, make sure everybody's doing okay. And yeah, all the best to you guys and your family as well. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. You guys stay safe. Stay home. Stay stay safe. Let's not be knuckleheads and think of your neighbor. Be mindful of your neighbor and think of your neighbor before you rush out and buy a whole bunch of stuff that you probably don't need. Um, yeah, appreciate everybody. Hope you guys have a great night. And thank you so much for hanging out with me. And we will see you guys in the next video. Take care, guys.